Well, today is Wednesday, April 26, 2023. It's 7:55 in the morning. Uh, well, it seems like all the teachers are here, like next to this public school. I can show you a little bit around. I have nice cars, and it's a great school. And they arrive very well dressed. I was here yesterday, and got to see the parade, you know, and I got to see a little bit. It was like giving me dirty looks because they was passing by right here. It's like the catwalk, like Fashion Week. I'm like, whoa. So I hope they really reflect on the education of the children, because around here they're ratchet as fuck. You know, they're just. And the sad part is that you see the parents when they come. You see them; they're very, very humble. You know, they got nothing. I guess I wouldn't mind, you know, that. But I mean, a teacher is so hard to get that they have to come driving from Westchester. I don't know. I mean, this is all taxpayers' dollars. I don't know. This is something that's been bugging me. I just started coming over here because I'm not drinking coffee this couple of days. I'm gonna stay away from coffee. But yeah, I'm still asleep and there's no coffee. Can't believe I'm wearing my winter coat, you know, my heavy artillery in April 26th. I was here yesterday and I like, no, I'm gonna take the other coat, you know, it's still insulated, but it's just, I froze myself. I was freezing. Wow, look at all those people. Like, the traffic is very slow. It's just crazy, you know. Why people have to commute so far? There's gotta be a better way, right? It's pretty much like, how do you say that in English? You know, like the pace of the wheel. So I'm gonna listen again to some of the clips that I have uploaded on Rumble, because I think I need to internalize it, and everybody needs to internalize everything and put it in perspective. Like this one is gonna tell you about the map right before the White World War One. It's crazy. I didn't know Germany had colonies in Latin America. So much stuff that they're hiding, and you know, all the whites, they are on code. They don't snitch. They don't go like exhibiting them because, you know, they want to protect privilege, right? I mean, what other explanation is like? Why would they become complacent with all these lies and deception? Why nobody asks them, you know, hey, just 100 years ago, you was an empire. You even got colonies. And today you say you're broke? I mean, you don't have this, you don't have that.
But here's the pre-World War map. The UK had colonies in Africa, India, China, the Commonwealth of Australia, Asia, North and South America. France had captured half of Africa and half of Indochina. Belgium possessed Congo. Germany had colonies in Africa, Asia, South America, and Oceania. Italy established colonies in Somalia, Ethiopia, Libya, and Eritrea. There were Spanish colonies in South America and Africa. Portugal occupied colonies several times its own size and population.
All of them. What are you talking
The
about?
USA also kept up with the Europeans. And so, by the early 20th century, most of the world was divided between a few colonial nations.
All of them, people, that's another thing, we gotta demand a real map of the planet. We cannot be tolerating, because the European peninsula is like this big, but they blow it up in the maps. They blow it up in the maps, like everybody like, oh my God, it's so great. This one, I just uploaded this one. Where's the sound? We're talking about Edward Bernays, and that he was part of another secret society. Why it's not playing? Play up. Why aren't you playing? This thing got frozen now. Got all this technology. Okay, the volume is all the way up. Let me put you on pause. Well, for some reason it's on strike. They don't want to play, so we skip it to the part on how England got punked. Like literally, just like the European Union, just like it's so easy to manipulate these people, but they tell you no, that's not true, because they got college degrees, they're very well educated in Europe. So how come, if they're well educated, how come like right now they are like a United Slaves colony? Germany, that supposedly is the shit, it's occupied. Entire Europe is occupied by the United Slaves. It is shameful. Like in 100 years, in 100 years they went from an empire. And why? I tell you why, and if you don't agree, you can, whoever, I don't know if anybody's gonna watch this video. I don't know. But it's all about white supremacy. Time and time again, I've seen it through history. Like, okay, we're going to be in absolute control. You don't have to see no black or brown faces around your neighborhood, around your town. You're going to get, all the respect again, all the white privilege, you know, from, you know, like the colonies and stuff, that those times. And they get their panties in a bunch. They go completely crazy. And this is what he's gonna talk about, you know, how like they just immediately they took their panties down and bend over and like, you know, because these creatures that they are like intrinsically racist, you know, and what I say that, you know, is like they've been bred to believe that they deserve everything and that they are the chosen race, you know, which is you know, actually the lack thereof, because white is not a color.
But victory in the First World War came at frankly too high a cost. In human life, we lost more than 700,000 men. In broken bodies, no fewer than 41,000 British soldiers returned home without an arm or a leg. In shattered minds, some 65,000 men were given disability pensions for severe shell shock, and that is probably a gross understatement. And there were other, deeper costs. We went from being the world's biggest creditors to one of its greatest debtors. Hobbled by inflation and unemployment, we lost forever our position as the world's greatest economic and financial superpower.
Believe it.
And in the end, we lost the one thing that our young men were told they were fighting for, our empire. It is no wonder.
Unbelievable. This is a lecture from a few years ago. I mean, they're still, you know, talking about imperialism as if, I mean, this is the same people that terrorize the whole planet if they don't have clean energies or, you know, gay marriage, you know, all this bullshit. I mean, like, and they are like, we lost our empire, you know, like, I mean, so far in just a little bit more than a year since President Putin's special operation in Ukraine, you know, not just Ukrainians, Europeans have lost 1 million citizens. You know, it's underrated, you know, under like, you know, whatever they say 300,000, they have like, no, because a lot of you know, we say like the sleepy cells, they got activated and went over there. I got to see videos from even Colombians and Brazilians, like, oh, it is horrible, oh my god, you know, like they didn't even give us uniforms and stuff. So I know these are not the real numbers, because, you know, everybody know, you know, whites don't have friends, they got interest. So as to for us, you know, humans, you know, not mankind, you know, I'm talking about humanity, you know, it's unfathomable, you know, to hurt one of our own. You know, this is why I have I have been searching for these videos, these lectures on, you know, mind control, you know, like what happened in Rwanda. How is that? It's a very good lecture. It's in Ramble, and they like it. I might upload it, I guess. I may upload it. I mean, like, hopefully nobody find it. Yeah, I'm just putting the date now. I'm just putting today's date, and that's about it. You know, I mean, like, I'm not interested in anything except, you know, just trying to make a little bit of sense, you know, what's happening right now, what happened to my ancestors, and it's just enraging because all that shit happened for absolutely nothing. just to, and you're gonna, I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm gonna play a little clip too from the 300 committee, the committee of the 300, and it's crazy, you know, how you know, people that just manipulated every day.
I'm not a pacifist.
I lost my cue.
Serbia, Russia, Germany, and France had taken.
Why I lost
We
my
in
cue?
Britain should have stayed on the sidelines and let them fight it out.
I lost the cue.
For severe shell shock, and that is probably a gross understatement.
Kill me.
And there were other deeper costs. We went from being the world's biggest creditors to one of its greatest debtors. Hobbled by inflation and unemployment, we lost forever our position as the world's greatest economic and financial superpower. And in the end, we lost the one thing that our young men were told they were fighting for, our empire. It is no wonder that by the 1930s, when we'd already lost Ireland and were about to lose India, so many people believed that the First World War had been for nothing. Professor Chalmley and I are not here to lecture you about the morality of wars, or indeed to talk about who was responsible for this one. Our case is simply this: that once Austria, Serbia, Russia, Germany, and France had taken up arms, we in Britain should have stayed on the sidelines and let them fight it out. Our opponents will try to persuade you that all the suffering, all the sacrifice, was somehow worth it. They will paint a picture of a rapacious Germany stamping across the map of Europe, led by a militaristic madman. And they will claim that we in Britain were leading a moral crusade, fighting.
What's going on? It was fine.
For freedom and democracy. Now, Max Hastings and Margaret Macmillan are two of our finest historians, and I admire them enormously. But in this case, I'm sad to say, they are mistaken. Let's start.
Everybody laughed.
With the Germans.
Weird.
Now, we're going to hear a lot about the Germans tonight, but I urge you to see through the xenophobic cliches and to concentrate on the historical facts.
The Germans.
Germany had only come into being in 1871. We often see it as a kind of Victorian Sparta, all peaked helmets and bristling moustaches. But the reality was very different. Take the Kaiser, for example. He wasn't an absolute monarch, and he certainly wasn't a dictator. Yes, Queen Victoria's grandson was a braggart and a bully. But as his most distinguished and up-to-date biographer, the Cambridge professor Christopher Clark, has shown beyond question, the Kaiser never really wanted war. Wilhelm II always believed that the quarrel between Austria and Serbia would be a purely local affair. And when it looked as if the Russians would intervene, he tried to pull the Austrians back from the brink of all-out invasion. Wilhelm liked to moan and groan about his British and Russian cousins, but when he heard that Britain had declared war, he was devastated. To think that George and Nicky should have played me false, he famously said. If my grandmother had been alive, she would never have allowed it. Our opponents will tell you that German militarism was a deadly threat, not just to Britain, but to European civilization. But you know what? In 1914, the German army boasted 761,000 men, well behind the French, 827,000, and the Russians, 1.4 million. Do you know how many wars Germany had fought by 1914? One, in Southwest Africa. In the same period, Britain had fought in the Gold Coast, and in the Zulu War, and in Egypt, and in the Sudan, and in 2 Boer Wars, where we'd invented the concentration camp. So if an outside observer had been asked to pick out the battle-crazed imperialists, somehow I don't think he'd have picked the Germans. After all, the Kaiser's Germany had the biggest socialist party in Europe, its strongest trade unions and its most developed welfare state. In 1900, 22% of German men were entitled to vote, and in Britain, 18%. So it's a very strange claim that we were fighting for democracy against a country that was actually more democratic than we were. And when you look closely at our allies, the idea of the First World War as a moral crusade evaporates completely. First, there was France, proportionately the most militaristic country in Europe, bitter, brooding, itching for a rematch with the Germans after the debacle of 1870. Then Russia. Let's take a moment to ask ourselves, how on earth could we have been fighting a crusade for freedom and democracy, shoulder to shoulder with Tsarist Russia, then one of the most violent, reactionary and repressive regimes on the planet? You know, Mr. Chairman, when British newspapers needed pictures to accompany their grossly embellished stories of German crimes in Belgium, they used photos of anti-Semitic pogroms carried out by the Russian government. That, I think, rather says it all. Then there was plucky little Serbia, a country that had launched 2 wars of conquest in the Balkans in 1912 and 1913, a country whose nationalist paramilitaries had raped and murdered their way across Albania and Macedonia, a country that had been sponsoring terrorist atrocities for years. And finally, brave little Belgium, the country that had killed 10 million people in the Congo. Is it really 10 minutes?
It's 11.
11. I shall wrap up. Mr. Chairman, in a few moments, Max and Margaret will paint you an elegant, entertaining, and alas, largely fictional portrait of an alternative Europe if we had stayed out and let the Germans win. Of course, we can't know exactly what would have happened if we had stayed on the sidelines, but we do know what would have happened, Mr. Chairman, when we went in. Ypres, Passchendaele, the Somme, the Russian Revolution, the rise of Stalin, Hitler, and the Holocaust. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what we got by going in. So I'll leave you with this simple question. Do you really think that any alternative could really have been worse?
Yeah, do you really think any alternative could have been worse? I couldn't stop it because, you know, I seem like you don't really hold your cue. I don't know. Unbelievable, you know. I mean, a psychopath talking just like, I mean, the couple of times that he actually supposedly was supposed to be conveying cringe or, you know, outrage, whatever, I don't know. He sounded so phony. You know, like, oh, Belgium killed 10 million Africans in Congo. And everybody, like, I love these little clips because it's not me saying it. But I'm sure any European will, like, you know, still find it in their demonic heart probably to state some argument about, you know, oh, it's like these tough choices, you know, very hard decisions or whatever. Always like, you know, oh my god, and it's just like, and that's who they are. That's who they always been. You know, psychopaths, you know, no respect for nothing and nobody. You know, I don't believe Victoria had any power. She was made believe that she did. And she was used like, you know, like a prostitute, you know, like, oh, the mother, the queen, God save the queen and everything. That's why England had so many queens. because they say it's gonna be a queen, you know, a gay dude, or it's gonna be a real queen, you know that. Either way, they get their way. Either way, they get their way, you know. And they make him look like, oh, you know, these powerful women. Yeah, sure. I mean, if there was actually women, they wouldn't stand, you know, like especially Victoria wouldn't have stand with Cecil Rhodes, but instead she gave him, like, you know, carte blanche. He used to have the royal seals, the royal stamps, everything he could, like, you know, and everybody in Africa would just like shake in their boots, you know, like wow, it's come from England. It's an official document, and a lot of people fell for that and didn't want to have any more conflicts or anything, you know. So it was not only Africa. I mean, like, it's like all these countries also got served a lot of, you know, documents. That's what they're experts at, you know, creating these bogus institutions and language, you know. That's why the great Malcolm X used to say, you know, the language of liars. English is the language of liars. You know, I am a very humble disciple of the Honorable Malcolm X, so that's why I'm not into embellishing or just talking about BS. No, if we don't address the root of the problem, you know, which is the so-called white race, I mean, we're wasting our time. We're wasting our time because they're just like, right now they are mutating into something else. We don't know the finished product yet. You know, we've seen how after, you know, measuring, you know, non-white blood by the drop. You know how they counted octoroons, hexaroons, and all this, you know, quadroons that they had because they was marked as, you know, they are not white, they are not pure white. So we should probably start with a dictionary and we start correcting the meaning, you know, the definitions of the color black and the color white, which they just they switch them. They switch them, you know, everything. I mean, you can look it up, any dictionary. You know, look at, you know, black, the color black, and what you're gonna find. I mean, everything negative, everything that is bad, everything that it's, you know, it is black or dark, and everything good, you know, like Snow White, like, you know, like, I mean, you name it. I mean, like, you can look it up in the dictionary. It is good. White is good. White is noble. White is pretty. Everything. So until we don't address that and we question that, why? Just because it's white?
Committee of 300.
Okay.
Walter Rathenau, a German politician, once said, 300 men, all of a committee of 300. Walter Rathenau, a German politician, once said, 300 men, all of whom know one another, guide the economic destinies of the continent and seek their successors from within their own environment. Dr. John Coleman was a British intelligence officer who gained access to a private British museum in London. It was here that Coleman discovered the highly classified documents of Tavistock. It angered him so much he spent 5 years reading and deciphering them, and wrote the book, The Tavistock Institution of Human Relations. Tavistock was secretly started in 1913 and was funded by the British monarchy, the Milner Group, the Rockefellers, and the Rothschilds. Tavistock's first purpose was to create propaganda to start a war between Britain and Germany. The motivation behind the war was inspired by Germany's rapid progress on surpassing Britain with economic power. Tavistock's second purpose was to infiltrate America by establishing a centralized bank, removing the gold standard, and the degradation of women and religion. This group's mission was to establish a complete breakdown of America's values to enslave us. To jumpstart the program, they hired Edward Bernays. Bernays was the nephew of Sigmund Freud and was the father of public relations. He wrote 3 books, Crystallizing Public Opinion, Propaganda, and The Engineering of Consent. Bernays believed people were so irrational, and he believed so strongly in crowd psychology, that he could convince masses of people to do almost anything. Edward Bernays was a Tavistock coach and advisor to President Woodrow Wilson. Wilson ran and won the presidency on the promise that he would keep America out of war. But with the infiltration of Bernays, he persuaded Congress to declare war on Germany and started the First World War. And on December 23, 1913, while all Americans were getting ready to celebrate Christmas, Woodrow Wilson signed the Federal Reserve Act, a law that created the Federal Reserve System, the central banking system of the United States. This led to effectively abolishing the gold standard. It was now 1933, and Tavistock's mission was already 50% complete. The Central Bank of America was responsible for the Great Depression and the global financial crisis of 2007. The Federal Reserve,
I mean, it's like,
violates constitutional
shut
law.
up, Vicky. Oh my gosh, she got a really annoying voice. It's like the same monotonous, like like, oh my god. It's like she's dead. Nobody told her she died. It is good information. It is good. It is good snitching. You know. Oh my god. This is like within, how long had it been? Not even 200 years of the birth of America. And it was already a con game. Everybody already got conned. They got punked too, just like England, just got caught up in the high that that power give, I'm sure, such a high that, I mean, just by judging people who get power, the president of Mexico say, some people, they just get on top of a brick and they already get dizzy with ambition, and it's true, and it is true, and they just thought that it was like, oh, everybody's gonna jump in the bandwagon or whatever, but nobody wanted to immolate themselves, they had to be deceived into entering the war, starting World War I, It's like, damn, that Woodrow Wilson is like something else, Damn, it's like, but they tell you that the United States left the gold standard with Richard Nixon. So I don't know. She said that's what happened when what's his name? Oh yeah, because I mean, like, he created the Federal Reserve, So, and there's also the Lusitania. The Lusitania, which, I mean, I think that should be like the real headlines That should have been the real headlines, you know, instead of the Titanic, because you know it was like a lot of very key people in that boat. I mean, I don't know. I haven't really found a good documentary on the Lusitania, but you know, they say even had ammunition, if it had all this war, it was not just a passenger. They say that's why it got sank, and they say the newspapers advertising the Lusitania, they also had in the same edition, they had an article saying that ship's gonna be sank, and sure did. Everything is deception, everything, and people, they think it's like, well, that is war. What about now? We are not at war, and we are deceived about everything. Where's the $32 trillion that's missing? Now they're calling it public debt. I tell you where it's at. in Swiss banks, in all these offshore, you know, accounts. In they got the money, they got they bought gold with it. They bought gold. Of course, they don't want the dollars. They bought gold. They bought a lot of land. You know, they're buying all kinds of shit, you know, with the taxpayers' dollars. Yeah, that's a good documentary, you know. Like, unbelievable. You gotta listen a million times, you know.
Edward Bernays was a Tavistock coach and advisor to President Woodrow Wilson. Wilson ran and won the presidency on the promise that he would keep America out of war. But with the infiltration of Bernays, he persuaded Congress to declare war on Germany and started the First World War. And on December 23, 1913, while all Americans were getting ready to celebrate Christmas, Woodrow Wilson signed the Federal Reserve Act, a law that created the Federal Reserve System, the central banking system of the United States. This led to effectively abolishing the gold standard. It was now 1933, and Tavistock's mission was already 50% complete.
Wow. I mean, there's just one president. Every so-called president, you know, it's like a competition. Who's gonna do the most harm to the planet, to everybody? But I don't know. It's a very complicated system because people's identity is created by their education. So it's like, I mean, like, you know, watching the catwalk yesterday, right here, you know, I mean, like, it was like these women, like, with their big coats and shit, you know, in a nice car to a public school in the ghetto. Because that's what it is. This is the ghetto. I mean, like, people say, like, where's Manhattan? I mean, like, yeah, and I mean, like, it's a damn ghetto. So they're the first ones to lash out when you question their credentials, when you question, you know, that all they do is regurgitate propaganda. All they do is just more and more of the same. Let me see. I'm gonna pause it a little bit. Let me see if I can find another clip. Hold on. This is a documentary from Tucker Carlson. Now he's gonna be making documentaries. I don't know. It's just like, finally, I mean, he's like the whistleblower about something that we all know firsthand, we see how men keep getting softer and softer and softer, and gays everywhere, and then you get shocked to like they say, I'm not gay. Like, why you dress like a gay, walk like a gay? Like, you know, and it's just because they don't want to be doing, you know, the toxic masculinity. You know, they're terrified of being labeled that, and so they figure that the best way is to slaughter their own virility, you know, every day, you know, just to look harmless, to look cute, you know. It's sickening.
Would you recommend young men to tan their balls?
To what?
Oh, this is not it. This is not it. Let me find the clip.
Iron sharpens iron, as they say, and those hard times inevitably produce men who are resourceful, men who are strong enough to survive. And then they go on to re-establish order, and so the cycle begins again.
Civilization is like a woman wooed. She's won by the love of the strong man and lost by the impotence of the weak one. The Greeks called this anacyclosis, the life cycle of any society. In a golden age, heroic leaders pursued transcendent goals, something bigger than themselves. They overcome challenge after challenge, and then they win. Then, surrounded by the wealth and the comfort they have won, they lose their life force. They become confused and isolated. They lose faith in themselves, and the civilization they've created begins to decline. Author C.S. Lewis warned of a West that one day would be filled with what he called men without chests, and we see that prophecy coming true today. We call them, less poetically, man boobs. They're a physical manifestation of something bigger, the decline of manhood, of virility, of physical health, all of which together threaten to doom our civilization. Testosterone levels in American men are declining by about 10% per decade, 1% a year. Sperm counts have plummeted 50% in the last 40 years. If that trend continues, we won't simply be weaker than our grandfathers, we won't have grandchildren of our own. Civilizational decline is not inevitable. We don't have
Technology? We don't have
to be the spectators of our own defeat. We choose this road, not just for ourselves, but for our children. So we have a responsibility to enter into the arena and make America healthy again. We just need the motivation.
We just need the motivation. And what motivation is that? Like I say, everything is...
Chop, chop, chop. When you get to the cone, push off your outside foot, change
Everything
direction.
is spoon-fed.
The motivation factor for young men
Much better, boys.
is to have a physical challenge that demands developing mental stability.
Chop, chop, chop. There you go.
And if you don't set that up for our young men, our boys, they won't develop properly.
Ron Jones is an historian, a PE teacher, and the curator of the La Parati Archive, which is a remarkable film collection. The archive gives a glimpse into a country that was, and still could be.
You've probably heard that American kids are getting soft. The marshmallow generation, some people call them. Well, these are American kids you're watching. The group of high school boys who just happen to be in the same physical education program. They attend La Sierra High School in Carmichael, California.
La Sierra High School was really, it was the last great PE program in America, and it was put together by Coach Stan Laprati in the late 50s.
Advancement depends exclusively on performance. The teachers designed it that way, and they say it's a key to the system's success.
These boys strove for excellence. In Greek, they called the word arete. It means striving for excellence. And That's how the program was set up. It was that reaching for something higher.
Every boy has an opportunity in this program to advance on the team. Blue team, red team, gold team. By the way, to be a Navy Blue at La Sierra High School, you have to be able to do a man lift and carry of a boy 10 pounds within your own body weight and carry him 5 miles without letting his feet touch the ground.
If you raise the bar, the kids will generally reach up for it. And if you lower the bar, they'll generally go down lower.
Ron Jones found a rare film of one man who wanted to take the standards set by the La Parati program at La Sierra and apply it to the entire country.
Now imagine me like rolling the film and seeing this in the headshot, and like no one had seen it before. No one that I knew had ever seen this.
I welcome this opportunity to speak to the people of America about a subject which I believe to be most important, and that is the subject of physical fitness.
JFK, he wanted all schools in America to model after La Sierra. It was so important, and we didn't do it. We've got more and more stadiums with more and more people sitting and less people playing. And most people just see PE as a nuisance and something to cut, and actually it's getting cut left and right because of the pandemic. They're trying to take elementary kids and leave them in a seat 8 hours a day, trying to make up for the 2 years they lost in the pandemic, and the kids are literally losing their minds. And so what's happened is we have generations of young people now that they don't even know how to walk. Literally, I'm not exaggerating. We can't do what La Sierra boys did 50 plus years ago. Athletic lean males today are having erectile dysfunction issues. So something is really wrong with our boys and our young men, really wrong.
A country is as strong really as its citizens. And I think that mental and physical health, mental and physical vigor go hand in hand.
He knew about that the strength of a nation depends on the strength of its men. And not just the men, I mean the women as well, but let's face it, you have to have strong men. And if you don't, it's not going to go well. People oftentimes ask me, like, why did we get rid of this? I don't have a logical reason why we got rid of it. Something tells me that something's going on and that somebody wanted us to get rid of it.
I hope that all of you will join, and everybody in the United States, to make sure that our children participate fully in a vigorous and adventurous life which is possible for them in this very rich country of ours.
I can't watch it without getting emotional, still. It's so powerful. That is real leadership. That's what we're missing today. We need a renaissance, and we need someone like JFK again. A real man that can stand up and deliver the message without apology.
This is a challenge for us all.
I'm Robert Kennedy, and I am the chairman of Children's Health Defense.
Yeah, he sounds horrible. Yeah, it's bullshit. It is bullshit. Even like, I mean, I would have stopped him right there at the beginning when he say, you know, that men require real challenges. I mean, he didn't say real challenges, but I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, like, even if they are at this Sierra, whatever, they know their life is not in danger. They know it's not, you know. I mean, like, way back in the days, not my days, you know, like more like my grandfathers. I heard they used to scare the children. I mean, especially the boys. They used to scare the boys by getting. You can get down on the soil, girl, and keep walking all around. They will hire, some, scary looking dudes. Hold on 1 second, my nose is acting out. So they did hire, I mean, not hire like, like today's time, but, if they knew, I mean, somebody, especially like in a trip or something, obviously not somebody from the same town, and say, hey, can you, beat up my child, I want him to get a taste of reality, or I just want him to think it's reality. It's like, I mean, like, the reality was that he know this guy somewhat, right? I mean, sometimes it feels like we don't know anybody because they surprise us all the time, and that's okay, but I'm talking about really, really like Jeffrey Dahmer surprises. Kind of like, not that extreme, but I mean, it's just those things, like my own family, which is like very westernized and stuff, and I go like, shit, that's my family for real, very, very, I don't know, it's hard sometimes to explain it, but the point I'm trying to get to is like, they have to build their confidence. They gotta build their confidence, and the only way to build a confidence is to be in the real world, in the real life, and them finding solutions. And I know I was gonna say, but they can die, they can get injured, they can get, well, there's no other way. So this Sierra High School, whatever, I think it's just like, I think that was part of the problem. That was a big part of the problem, because, like, I mean, I wanted to show you, I missed that, they were scaring their classmates or whatever on their shoulders. And I mean, but that's the problem with white people, right? There's like, no matter what, every solution they come up with, in quotations, it's always got like really, really horrible implications, ramifications. It's always, I mean, they say they're learning a little bit, It's like, you see sometimes you find, like, oh yes, it's like, but they're not apologizing or anything, but they do show you like, hey, we thought that by introducing these species in this ecosystem, was going to solve a problem, and instead, these species that we introduce in that particular ecosystem kill like 20 species, and it's now a plague that we don't know how to get rid of, or stuff like that. They don't get that. They say they do, but they don't get, how everything is so delicate. Our own bodies, I mean, they do get that. That's why they're destroying us, especially our nervous system. That. I was just looking last week, when I was walking by the park, and still they didn't have a lot of leaves. They didn't have a lot of the trees didn't have the leaves. So I always get like, this is not as intricate. You see, this is our nervous system, something like that. It's not easy to appreciate it. In the winter, we see all these millions of little branches, tiny little vessels, It's just amazing, but I mean, how many children do they know? They're carrying such precious system in their whole body. So that's another thing, Diet have to support, people. They have to have a sustainable diet, something, not sustainable, like, what would the word, like, the diet don't help with that, because why? The diet is designed to do what? To kill the melanin. and to produce more and more, pale-skinned people. So everything that's necessary to produce pigmentation, we cannot have it, including the sun, especially the sun. I mean, that's the number one, right? But they have even lectures. I keep forgetting to upload this lecture I kind of trimmed, where they recognize, that synthetic melatonin, it's garbage. So, I mean, obviously, achieving what they're achieving, and it's kind of like, Frankenstein kind of thing, like, it's not with their synthetic products. It is not with their synthetic products because, especially, she's supposed to be a scientist or something, I don't know. She said it's like, well, synthetic melanin, don't do this, don't do that, don't, So then it's just because they name it melatonin or any of the products they make with melanin. I uploaded also a video where they're telling people, how to get the skin of the original men and women and boil it and whatever. I don't know it's very, very disturbing. And to extract all the melanin. So that's what they do also in the Arabic Peninsula. They sell slaves and they do the organ harvesting and all kinds of horrendous things. Because one day Europeans decided to tell the whole planet, people with black skin are not human beings. People with black skin don't matter. People with black skin this, people with black skin that, And now our African brothers and sisters, they cannot even catch a break. Because, anti-blackness is the entire world's doctrine. It's very, very, and they all play stupid, like, oh, we didn't do that. We didn't, what? Day and night producing cartoons, producing memes, producing laughing at them, portraying them as, savages, That shit's been going on for centuries. So now it's just like it's embedded all over the planet. All over the planet. So if there's actually karma, when the karma hit them, it's gonna be really hard. It's gonna be really hard. I mean, and it is. I think karma is hitting them. That's why they are obsessed with their transhumanism, so they can heal themselves with cybernetic parts, cyber parts, Oh my God, my nose, leaky nose. Cannot wait till the cold weather go away, So every time there's cold weather, my nose starts leaking. So, yeah, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work, the Sierra high schools, because they know it's just an exercise. They know they're not in danger. They know they don't need to find any solutions on their own, and that's what's producing this madness, of butch women. They're trying to be butch, actually. They're a joke. And these very soft men, because they say like, oh, I get rewarded. They get rewarded every time, they come out with some faggotry shit, they come out like, oh yes, you are authentic. You are real, whatever, yeah, you're fierce, you blah 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 blah, and unbelievable, and they're all like actually starting to believe it, or they've been believing it actually for real. They write, if you go to that application, Grindr, like a meat grinder, but it's grind and the letter R all together. They are like, even in their 30s and 40s, and they're like, oh, they think they deserve an award. They think they deserve, something because they don't have gagging reflex. And they think like, oh my God, that's the greatest thing. And they're craving the approval of men, and then they put the screenshots of their interactions where the other man is telling them, wow, that was a very good blowjob. I'm not lying, or they're proud that they can take 12, 14 inches, and they can take a train, and they feel like, kind of like the same thing, women already went through, in the 70s especially. Linda Lovelace is Debbie Does Dallas, and it was like, oh my God, Debbie did on Dallas, she's like, I mean, I guess for your husband, I think that's a good thing, right? That assuming you actually have a husband, not a simp, not a gay guy, pretending to be your husband. It's just crazy. Oh, and they're doing the like Rosie the Riveter. They go like this. Is like, wait a minute, you're a man. You're not. That was. I don't know. I ever since I saw that poster, that picture, the Rosie the Riveter, whatever. I don't know how she's posting it, whatever, I kind of knew the symbolism, the empowerment of women, that, women can do it, and blah, 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 So to see these gays that, they're all muscle. Some of them are like all muscle. Oh, and God forbid, don't go through the pictures. Don't go through the pictures, because they show their ass, and their ass is like skin and bones, hairy with pimples, and oh my God, don't even watch porn. And make sure you don't select over there, because it's like you feel like a tarantula. It looked like a tarantula, the skinny legs on top of the other one, and like, ugh, it's just very. and that's what it is. That's what they are about. Just hooking up. Especially if a lot of the ones that are on welfare, that's all they do. And I know several, and they live right. There's one that lived right behind my apartment on the other street, and always, to them it's like their life is like to get money to get an membership in one of those gyms, like Equinox. I heard, I ran into one like a couple of years ago, and because he have Medicare, so he say, "Oh, I got the membership. Oh my God, you would see like the guys over there in the steam room, and blah blah blah," and it's a very very hedonistic. Obviously, I mean, I said it without saying it. I have said it. It's all about the senses and getting ready for these party, white party, black party, pink party. Very very shallow, very very shallow life, and you will think like, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is that they are recruiting. I mean, I keep hearing, no, gays don't recruit. Yes, they do. Yes, they do, and they are relentless with heterosexual men until, like, I mean, and men, also we have a lot of narcissism going around, and they're always craving for a blowjob, I mean, so there is always a gay guy, thirsty motherfucker. Hold on. When I used to go to the programs, which has been like, thank God, I mean, I just realized it's been almost like 15 years that I don't go to programs. Maybe 12 years, I don't know. I just feel like I don't miss it. I don't miss it. The other day I ran into a guy, from the program, and just like a zombie. A guy like a zombie, and over there you see, men that are supposed to be heterosexual, they gotta do too, and they talk about it in the groups. He cooked for me. He, whatever. They don't care. They don't even care no more. And they see, they talk about it, not nagging me, nothing. That's why every man wanna be gay, because no woman is gonna allow them to be slacking, to be like doing, but when they're in a gay relationship, it's like roommates. It's like no stress, no nothing. So I mean, they do fight and whatever, supposedly. I don't know about what. I mean, it's like anything goes, right? That's the whole point, right? Because they like to be, free and freaky and God knows what else, So, but I mean, I myself, what I in retrospective and what I have seen, I mean, like, they don't last. They don't last. Oh, thank you. Good morning. They don't have any really serious responsibilities, especially, I mean, you see some of them, they're all in the program, they're all on welfare, so it's like the only time they get restless is like, when they want more money to be like buying more drugs, or buying like, they want to travel, go to another sex party in Florida or whatever, and but I would say like 99% they're clueless. I never seen that movie, but it sounds like they are absolutely like, they don't give a damn about nothing. They're about nothing, and they don't give a fuck about nothing. And it's just like, it's always, like, going to the gym, hoping their ass will grow, whatever, it will hurt. Yeah, that too, Oh my God, they are like something else, like, I mean, But I mean, I'm telling you, I mean, like yesterday I was over here, and this guy with a baby in a stroller, boom boom shorts, super gay. I mean, like jogging, like whatever. I mean, they're supposed to be heterosexual. Go to the Upper West Side, go to the Upper East Side. You go like, what the hell? You know, they're super gay, but they're not. Supposedly, they're not gay. They're just, I don't know. I mean, the crazy thing is also because there's a war on virility. You know, there's a war on real men. I mean, a while back, they started, you know, looking for a place, you know, drama-free and stuff, and sure enough, there was the gays waiting for them. So the way I see them, I see that, you know, the heterosexual men that I'm talking about, you know, the very few that resisted to their 30s and then their 40s, is like, they just, I mean, that's what it is too, you know, this gay identity, everything you can say, you know, hey, you know, because of homophobia, I am broke, I am where I'm at, because homophobia, because you have opportunities, especially women, you know, they F themselves up, they you know, they put, you know, even very, very, very big toys, you know, because I have heard it. I have heard that they like the big toys, you know, like these things. So they're loose like a goose. They get loose like a goose, so nobody wants them. There is lesbianism to pick up the pieces. Some thirsty lesbian is like gonna be like, because they see heterosexuality, as much as they supposedly call them breeders and breeders and whatnot, not breeder. Anyway, and whatnot, they're obsessed with heterosexuals. Obsessed, whether it's women or men, you know, quote unquote. That they are like, and they complain, you know, I heard them like, I've seen them writing shit, it's like, you know, we don't want, I don't want nobody who's not sure of their sexuality, but at the same time, they always end up getting in relationships with those that are supposedly not fully committed to faggotry or whatever. I don't know. Oh man, I'm bored to death. I'm so bored, and I'm just gotta go back home because it's freezing. And it's like such a gray day. And the gray days, they give me so, you know. But I mean, I get on that app, you know, because, well, I got it because I had to find a home for my kitty cat, which I did. Anyway, I don't want to talk about that in that app, and you know. Anyway, so no, I don't want to. A little hustle, you know. Anyway, but just reading always is like, damn, they sound more and more just like feminists. Just like women, you know, like, and you see this, you know, big man, you know, like muscle, beer, whatever, you know. Take me out. They put, take me out, you know, or I don't want to hook up. You know, I want to like, and that's all they got. They got that app. I don't think they got anything else. That is their Match.com. That is their, you know, like whatever they have to, you know. And you know, all the couples that are there, you know, I mean, if you read, you know, they say they're partner. Sometimes that's all they say, that they're partner. And sometimes they say, oh, we only play together, we only like, you know, that's a lot, you know, for a minority to have like, you know, always hooking up. I mean, it's like, come on. I would understand that, you know, they've been together for a long time, right? And so now, you know, they know each other very well or whatever, you know. So now they're opening up. A lot of the relationship is just like some kind of contract, you know, because they like that idea, you know. They dress alike, they go to the parties, and you know, it's sad. It's a sad spectacle, you know, like to say the least, you know. Oh my God, and you know, especially like if you look at the TOP, the tops, you know, they're supposed to be the men in the relationship, or at least in bed. They're supposed to be the man in bed, you know. They're crazy. It's like, you know, because I wasn't paying attention. They say oral, oral, and I was like, oh, oral, you know, no. I mean, to a point that you see some of them, and it's like, oh no, it's not just for oral sex, guys, you know. I'm not hooking up just for that, you know. They want to, you know, completion. No, I mean, some of them, you know, like I'm telling you, grown ass men, you look at them and nothing's wrong with them, and they put like, looking to suck cock, you know. I want to suck dick for hours and stuff, and they put it right there. They put it on, because you go like, wow. And some of them, they put themselves, you know, with sperm, and like, wow. They don't give a damn. The young ones, oh shit, I don't even want to go. I don't even want to go there. You know, the young ones are like, I mean, that's always been the case, but now in social media, just to put your face, I mean, you don't have to put your face, you know. Most of them, they go like this, you know. They go like this, and they go like, it's like code word. And I'm like, damn, now it's like, you see that in Tinder, you see that in Badoo, whatever, you know, when you see men. And I used to think it was because, you know, oh, they're private, you know, they're private, they don't show their face, but the part of their face that they are showcasing is for a reason. So that's an advice I'm giving you. If you see any guy with a profile like this, just from the nose down, it's not because they are private. It's because they're advertising that they're oral, and not in a good way. They suck donkeys. That's what they do, and that's an obsession. I'm like, oh my God, and that's all they want to do. I'm like, wow. And I think that's where the bitches, they go like, oh, I don't want to give head. I mean, I don't know, especially not scripted. I mean, I can get into it, I guess. I don't know. I could, like, you know, I mean, I have, you know, but you don't know. You don't know what it's going to be, like, you know, the planets, whatever, you know, you're going to get, okay, but no. With them, that they say it. They said it, you know, because they got all their pictures with their mouth open. And they trying to be cute about it. They go like surprise, but they're still conveying. The guys who see that, they go like, oh, you know, no gagging reflex. So the guy, they go there, Oh my God, the old ones, the older ones. Oh my God, they're so pathetic. And they're there. And they're there. It's like, woo, just like looking for whatever, like, oh, wrinkly and still, ready to fall in love, ready to like, oh my God, it's so pathetic. If it is so sad and pathetic on a woman, I mean, now imagine in a man to be broken, broken to the point that you go in there, they show their face, and they don't have to show their face, I mean, at least not in the first picture. And they're right there. Anybody can go there. You don't need a membership. You don't need nothing. You just say, yeah, because I've seen some pictures. It's like, I don't think they're 18, but you see a lot of things. Oh, and so many selling heavy drugs, crystal meth. They say, I got it, whatever they say, now they call it Shasha. They call it, because they don't want to call it Tina no more, because everybody knows they call it Tina, crystal meth. It's horrific. It is just horrific. And so, like I say, this is like, unless we go back to the old ways where, I mean, I would say, that shit was fucked up. Imagine your own dad, hiring somebody, to fake an assault, that they're going to kidnap you, they're going to take all your money, whatever, or just to beat you up. And you get all the simps, all the feminists. That's barbaric. You cannot do that. Because it became the law, it became the norm, to have somebody speaking for some other people that they have no idea who they are. We got, especially the crackers, they're writing books on anything that they don't even have the slightest clue, because sometimes it's like they don't even hang up with that population they're writing about, they're pontificating about, and that is the norm. So nowadays everybody's telling men, oh, you cannot do that, oh, you can do that, you can, it was like one time I saw a clip, I guess he was famous, I forgot who that was, it was a rapper or something, and he say, oh, I like porn, and everybody was like, yeah, I mean, the guy looked like in his 30s, 40s, I don't know, and he got beat up, like, unbelievable. A man cannot even say, hey, this is like, you're toxic, patriarchal, you're blah, 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 like. And then we're surprised. There's no men. There's, that they are like, one time a girlfriend I used to talk to, like, we don't talk to no more, but she, I mean, I think she got married to a Neanderthal, so it's like, I mean, she know how. I don't believe in swirling or anything, so, but she told me one day, like, yeah, there was a mice, and he screamed like a bitch, and I was like, staring at him like, and he got embarrassed. Was like, well, what do you think? What do you think, bitch? Because I mean, she's transgender. That's why, I don't hang out. I don't hang out, with transgenders. I'm sorry. I just don't feel comfortable, Mm-mm. I mean, I'd rather hang out with a man that, you know, I'm attracted. I mean, at least at the end of the day, you know, I'm attracted to men. And I'm attracted, not fetishized like them. You know, they everything, you know, they put like pictures of feet. They like, oh my God, they like, you know, for them, virility is like the holy grail, and they see a man and they're like, oh my God, it's just sick. It's just very, 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 very sickening. And I know I'm gonna be getting a lot of enemies with these thoughts, but it's not about gays, it's not about nobody, it's about humanity. It's about humanity and how we unconsciously we are working against our own survival, you know, by, you know, just you know what they do always, you know, like a whole blah blah blah, you know, you bully, you misogyny, toxic masculinity. It's like the whole thing, you know. It feel like you know, the stories about, you know, the vampires, and if you just say this, you just say these words, or, you know, I don't know. It's really stupid, and that's all we got. That's all we got. You know, I mean, I'm not saying it's not harmful. It's not harmful, you know. It's very, very harmful to be calling those names, you know. I mean, especially when we are accusing them of bullying, but, you know, we go in front of everybody on social media and they're like, oh, you're this, you're that, you're like whatever, and that's it. And then, you know, they say the screenshots and they take him out again 2 years later, and like, oh, you see, this has been problematic. It's been like forever. This guy, you know, he's he should be, you know, practically dead. They can say that because that's not toxic. That is not toxic. They can say things like, you know, death penalty, you know, if against a guy who rape, without any nuance, without any, just, you know, they say it in the protests, you know, they say, you know, one death penalty for rapists, and but they don't want no punishment for those who just make shit up, you know. They're just making shit up, and they say, you know, he raped me, and then, you know, they go to court and whatever, they found out that was not even possible because he was not even in town or whatever. Oh, no punishment? It's crazy, you know, like, and those who are crying wolf are gonna be hurting the ones that, you know, they are actually crying for real. You know, that's how they you know, some, just a few can fuck up everything for everybody. Anyway, I'm gonna go walking. The sun is kind of coming out.